Points, clean sheet, fans back. Is that a pretty perfect day for you, given the challenge of the opposition as well?
Yes, it is. Yeah, it's one of the trickier one, obviously, against Burnley. The things they do, they're nearly perfect, to be honest. So you have to work incredibly hard to get any little kind of advantages. We did that. Scored 2 goals, could have scored more, had big chances, and won the game in all five.
But the way we affected the game, particularly in the first half, was good. I was pleased with that. Should have had a penalty, in my opinion. It's going to be strange this season now because they've been told to let it flow more. So there's too much soft stuff again today, but then a hard one and we don't get it. But saying that, they turned into Liverpool, which for 20 minutes second half, they scored the second. And it's tough, but I thought we kept going. Our mentality was firm today, particularly at the end when we have a couple of chances.
Yeah, amazing. I did it in a friendly game, but officially it's always a different feeling. Now is what it counts, and I think it was a great way to start my full Anfield campaign.
I must ask you about Harvey Elliott, 18 years of age,
No
full
problem.
Premier League debut. I mean, he looked like he'd been there for seasons with somebody so young.
Yeah, he's good, isn't he? So yeah, I know. What can I say? He's just a wonderful talent.
Yeah, Harvey Elliott, long career ahead of him, there's no question about that. But Danny, you want to focus on someone at the other end of his career who caught your eye?
Yeah, well, Jordan Henderson was tremendous, but just before I go on to him, I think it is worth mentioning Harvey Elliott. He grew into the game. You can see the confidence he's got, and also some of the exquisite passing from Trent. It's a joy to watch at times, especially when Liverpool are playing with that confidence. But Burnley did do okay in the first half. But Jordan Henderson has come back in the team, looks fit, looks sharp. His passing was good, he was leading, he was barking, he was back to his best. But great to see him back. I think every Liverpool supporter wants to see the contract get signed. He's only 31.
Yeah, it does.
This is where he played today in the holding role. Obviously, Fabinho wasn't there. Burnley played a 4-4-2, which gave them more attacking threat, as Sean Dyche said, but it left Jordan free a lot of the time. And because he was free, he was able to dictate play. What he did is he kept his passing crisp, sharp and quick, made the right decisions, and it was a commanding performance from him. And the great thing about him, of course, is he doesn't just play this role. He plays the one where Keita is today on the right when Fabinho is in there, and he gives you that flexibility. But I liked how progressive he was with his passing today. This is the offside goal from Salah, but always looking forward, always trying to get Liverpool from that patient build-up onto the front foot and attacking with intent. And as the game wore on, they took control of the game more and more, and because of him. And this is what you want from your holding midfielder, someone who knows when to play the ball forward and when to calm the play down. It just looked really strong and fit. He seems in the right frame of mind. There was some speculation recently that there was some discontent. That's not what I've heard, and I think it won't be long before he's putting pen to paper. And after losing Ronaldo, I think that's very important.
Yeah. Sean Dyche thought Burnley should have had a penalty.
I disagree. I think that it's just a coming together of shoulders. I think Mike Dean spotted it perfectly. I get why he maybe feels, at the time that because I think when it's in real time and it is kind of very quick, this is in slow motion, but you can see there that I think Trent, he's on the right side there, if you know what I mean. When he gets his shoulder into him, it is maybe strong and might have been given last season, but I don't think it's a penalty.
Managers generally see things their own way. There's been a lot of talk as well about letting the game flow, and Jurgen Klopp's had his say post-match over the concern, and he said there's one message now: let the game flow, and now nobody knows exactly what that means. I like all decisions in favour for the offensive team, that's fine, but we have to stick to protecting the players. We cannot deny that completely and say that's a challenge, I love watching that, then watch wrestling if you like those kind of things. So is he managerial games here going into fixtures ahead? I mean, most people I've spoken to like the fact that, because really all we're talking about is stopping the nudges of players and diving over. That's what we want to stop, isn't it? I don't think we're talking about serious foul play.
No. And, in other interviews, I think, post-match, he mentioned Brownhill and challenges from other players as well. But from Barnes and Wood. But we'd kind of had a look. We watched the game. We didn't see any of those challenges. So we've come to the conclusion this is game playing. He's thinking about Chelsea next week. He's putting things in referees' heads. The great managers have done it for years. And he's just doing the same thing.
I didn't see Van Dijk.
Ferguson, Mourinho, Wenger, they all played
all
those.
done it.
But ultimately, Van Dijk and Matip, they actually did well with the battle. They enjoyed it. They weren't moaning.
I loved it.
Field. I mean, him just being back makes all the difference to this Liverpool side as well.
Yeah, it does, and I think we can see his change of play for the second goal. But also, I think everyone's performances around him. A great player makes people better around him, and he does that without any doubt. And he's going to be a huge plus for Liverpool this season.
And actually, it's so true that he does make everybody feel a lot more confident. You even see the front players playing with more freedom, and you can just feel the confidence is back in this side.
Yep, definitely. I mean, look, they were rocked by serious injuries all over the place last time round, Liverpool. So to have him back, he is when he's right, when he's fit and he's at his best. I think he's the best there is anywhere in the world. I think he's the best defender there is. He's amazing. So you're going to miss that. But he was again today. There were signs of the Van Dijk that we've seen at his very best. Coming back today, I thought he looked very good.
And in terms of his centre-back partner, Joel Matip, do you think he's a bit of an underrated player because he is so important for this Liverpool side?
Yeah, he is. Well, I think it showed how much they missed him last year. Obviously, Van Dijk compliments him. He gets all the praise, but he needs a partner, and he's got that partner. That's an area they really struggled in last year. They couldn't get that partnership quite to work. But with Virgil van Dijk and Joel Matip, it seems to be a lot stronger.
And that's without even knowing what Konate will bring to the side.
I was going to say, you've got Joe Gomez, you've got Konate, so they've got... And I think last year they were turning to people in individuals, some of those young guys who stepped up and did very well, but they were always fearful and mindful, I think, of what was happening in that back line. Whereas with that sort of quality now, all of a sudden, you've got some very powerful, experienced players ready to come into.
OK, well, let's get some further analysis of Liverpool's movement for that second goal from Michael Owen, who is in the Matchday Live studio for the game.
It was a fantastic goal. Just to set the scene, you've got the back four, of course, of Burnley, and then the midfield four and the two. So there's the 4-4-2 of Burnley. No surprise there. They're not out of position, but it's a brilliant goal. Started off from Virgil van Dijk. And the best thing about it, as me and Owen mentioned before the start of the game, if I just pause it there, we saw examples of this diagonal ball that he plays and that he's so good at. The other thing that we mentioned is when Liverpool have got Van Dijk in their team, their full-backs are far braver. Look at that. Two players there in advanced position. So they are a lot braver. And if we run it on for the pinpoint ball again from Van Dijk, again, let's go back to Burnley. They're not in a bad position here. You look at it here, and you've got your back four here, and then you've got Liverpool's front four in many ways is here. So 4 against 4, it's not ideal, but where the problem lies is here. And I just think that without Virgil van Dijk in the team, I think that Trent is probably going to be in a position around there. That's where he would have been last season. But with this season, and of course with Van Dijk back, he's just got that confidence to get forward. He knows there's going to be pinpoint balls going in. If we just roll it forward a little bit, I just want to bring your attention to this man here, Tarkowski. And he spots early on that this is a problem for him. He's seeing that, and it should have been picked up by one of the midfield runners. I'm sure Owen Hargreaves was having kittens when he was watching it. No one tracking the midfield runners. And he made a mistake, I think, of actually going out to press Trent. He tries to stop it at source, and if we just roll it forward, you see he goes out, he leaves his man, he leaves Sadio Mane, and then all of a sudden he's got all the space in the world for a quite exquisite finish. It's a brilliant goal from start to front, from back to front. Van Dijk starting it with a lovely switch of play, and then it's all happened so fast. And as soon as you get out of position, it's almost like a domino effect. What a finish as well at the end from Sadio Mane.
It's a really interesting point actually there that Michael Owen makes, because it's no coincidence that both Tsimikas and Trent were on the assist chart today, because VVD being back in that side allows them to push further up.
And I think as well as that, with Jordan Henderson playing, who's a vastly experienced guy who can sit there, Liverpool's providers are their fullbacks. Usually it's Robertson and Trent. Tsimikas did really well today. So they're a very important part of this team, Liverpool's team. So they've got to try and free those guys up. They've got to give them the space to be able to go and do what they do. And that 50, 60-yard raking pass from Van Dijk just mixes things up perfectly. and allows those boys to get a little bit of room.
Are you surprised, though, in the transfer window that they only brought in Konate and they didn't go for potentially another midfielder, considering that Wijnaldum went to PSG? Did you think that Liverpool may need to strengthen in that area, or do they have enough?
I thought Liverpool might have strengthened in other areas as well. They've tied a lot of their top players down to long-term contracts, which consolidates the future for them. But I think that maybe could have been done outside the transfer window, and they could have concentrated on bringing players in to strengthen that squad, because looking elsewhere in the Premier League, I feel as though their opponents have strengthened.
I think they've in the middle of the park team, I actually think they've got enough.
Yeah.
If you think Fabinho, Keita, Milner, Henderson, Curtis Jones, they've got a lot of players there that can all play in those central midfield positions. I don't think it was imperative to replace Gini Wijnaldum, who's a very good player, of course. I would agree with Glenn. I think there are other areas in that team that they can still look to try and supplement, look to try and top up. There aren't too many weaknesses in it when it's at its best. There aren't too many, but again, I'm sure Jurgen Klopp and everybody at Liverpool, they've always got their finger on the pulse when it comes to signings. They like to do their work early each summer. And it'd be interesting to see if they do anything else now in the rest of this window.
Well, a player that we've got to mention that actually started today was Harvey Elliott, because he really impressed in pre-season, and he did so again today as well.
Yeah, he did. And like Michael touched on there, the year that Liverpool won the Premier League, Trent Alexander-Arnold was going on the outside all the time and getting crosses in. We're seeing Harvey Elliott keeping the width and Trent Alexander-Arnold coming into more of a midfield role and setting up the second role. So that's really, really interesting, because everyone's talked about, can Trent play midfield, and we can see him stepping in there a little bit more often.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so Liverpool, are they in the title conversation, the title race conversation for you?
Yes, for me, definitely. Definitely. I think they have to be, Seema. They know how to do it. They've won it. They've done it. Most of that squad all still there. There's no sign of Mo Salah looking like he's slowing up in any way, shape or form.
Looks like he's enjoying playing with Mane as well.
Sharp. Diogo Jota has come into this Liverpool team and has scored goals regularly. So I think if they stay injury-free to a degree, everyone has their moments, but if they stay injury-free to the key boys, they'll be in the mix for sure.
Tough test for them next as they play Chelsea. I mean, how much are we looking forward to seeing Lukaku up against Virgil van Dijk? That'll be a juicy one.
That's why I watch the Premier League, isn't it? To see the top boys clash each other. Yeah, fantastic battle that's going to be. We're going to enjoy watching that next weekend. Lukaku back in the Premier League, 100 goals under his belt already, and I'm sure he's looking to add. And already so early on in the season, you think this could be a 6-pointer?
Yeah, we cannot wait for that fixture next weekend. Well, after the break, we will bring you the action.